In this episode, we'll ease over the top edge of the drawer box as well as installing the drawer slides. To round over that top inside edge of the drawer boxes, I'll be using the MFK 700 with a 1/4 inch round over bit. I'm just going to take off the sharp edge. You can set the round over to as deep or as shallow as you want. So while I've got the drawer here, I might as well go ahead and sand all the top edges, remove any pencil marks that might still be there. I'm going to be using the ETS EC 125 with a 120 grit paper. To get some of the inside corners, some of the pencil marks, and some of the glue residue that was left behind, I'll be using the DTS 400 with 120 grit paper. With those all routed and sanded, I can move on to the next 3 drawers, and then we can start putting on the drawer slides. Save a little bit of time. I didn't sand what was going to be behind the drawer front. It'll never get seen. With everything sanded and routed, the next step in the process is going to be installing the drawer slides. I want to do that before I put on the drawer fronts. Then I can have the drawers in the carcass and align the drawer fronts to be exact. When I was designing this shop, I wanted to make sure I had a spot for everything, especially the cabinet hardware. So with this new Sys Gen 3 rail system, I can use a large sustainer to keep all my cabinet hardware in. There's a lot of different ways to install drawer slides. I've come up with a system that works for me. I usually take apart the drawer slide and I've laid it out, so all I have to do is just space it off the bottom of the drawer by 1/2 inch. So I've got a piece of 1/2 inch plywood here, pre-drill the holes, install the screws, and then this part for the drawer is done. Then I can move on to the slides in the carcass. So I've got the T18, keyless chuck, and a self-centering bit to get those holes drilled. So now I'll use the CXS and I'll adjust the torque settings so I don't over torque the screws and attach the drawer slide. For installing the rest of the drawer hardware in the carcass, I just use an 18mm piece of plywood as my spacer off the bottom, and knowing that my cabinets are square and plumb, I can then figure out the distance in between, divide it by 5 spaces for 4 drawers, and I came up with that measurement. Now I just have to throw some screws in it and work my way up. With that side complete, I can do the other side, same spacer block, same spacing, everything will be the same. With all the drawers installed, I can focus on the drawer fronts, which I've already cut to size, rounded over the edges, and given a light sand. Whenever I'm installing drawer hardware, I make myself a gauge block. Drill 2 holes in it, got a center line on it. Those holes are spaced exactly the same distance apart as the drawer hardware. Then I can just put it on the center line of the drawer, drill my holes, and then I'll show you what I do with those holes when I'm installing the drawer fronts. With all the holes drilled for the drawer hardware, I can go ahead and get them installed. Cut some spacers that I'll rest on that first drawer that I have installed. Put a drawer front on top of that, line out the edges, drill my holes. Now I can take a screw, run a screw right in there. With those 2 screws holding the drawer front on, I can screw it in from the back and then put my hardware in. So now I've got the large drawers completed, all the hardware's on them. Now I can get ready to start working on the doors. If you want to continue with the build, click here or check this out. And don't forget to subscribe. If you want to be notified when we upload new content, click that notification bell.